And happy to see you, comrades, and happy to see my friend Camille. You know, Camille and I are vertically challenged. So, Jagero, you've done us a lot of injustice by putting something that is taller than us in front of us. I could see Wakil is struggling. He decided to come the other side. So, no. I think it's good enough. Jagero, yes. While you were away, I raised a complaint. How do you put a podium? What is this thing called? Podium. Wasomi. That is taller than the speakers. No, let's flip the speaker. Okay. So these are comrades, isn't it? I'm made to understand comrades are colleagues who are in the same organization. So you are university students. How does it feel to be a university student? Where's a mic? Yes. I want a sample, just 3. Start with this lady here. Okay. Yeah. How do you feel to be a university student?
T for tough. Huh? It's tough.
It's tough?
Yes.
One word. And then that coffee. How do you feel to be a university student?
I think it feels nice and privileging.
Nice and privileging. Yeah. I get you. And then back there. Yes.
So tough.
Huh?
So tough.
So tough.
Very tough. Extremely tough.
Extremely tough. Come back. That's enough. That's a fail. Yeah, why I wanted to have a feel of what it feels for you to be a university student is because I was once a university student. And it was a big struggle for me to be a university student because I was born in the lecture where my friend was also born. And I grew up in a village called Marindi Primary School. And those days, we were studying to go to secondary school. We didn't know that there existed anything beyond the secondary school. So after I went to Marindi Primary School, I went to a secondary school. And we were lucky. We had to go up to Form 4, and then beyond that, you also go to high school, which was Form 5 and 6. So by the time we were leaving Form 5 and 6, we were mature men. We could walk in the village with everything else that shows that we are from high school. I know today you people have a shortcut because education system has changed. You leave secondary school and you go to the university. And I would want us to share our experiences. What made you go to the university? As for me, it was a simple thing. I went to the University of Nairobi and I saw a cousin of mine clad in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. And I just said, this is the place to be. I have to be here. So, can I get from you what inspired you to get to the university? Mark, can you send the mic? If somebody earned his place in the university, what inspired you? Yes, that lady.
Come up again.
I know talking is hard, but listening is even harder.
I want to become something in life in future.
Say that again.
I want to become something better in future.
The reason you went to university is to become something in future?
Definitely.
Perfect. Wonderful. Then you have a tough job, eh? And then take it there, Machaine. What inspired you that you had to work hard to go to the university?
Good afternoon.
Yes.
My name is Hanif Bashir. I'm a final year law student. First and foremost, we all go to school to reduce our intellectual disability. The biggest, my uneducated father tells me, the biggest disease is ujinga, into bracket. That's what he tells me. I got privileged to be born in Nairobi, but every single time I go home, my parents come from a somewhere called Lafe. It's in Mandera County. Every time I go home, it's very shameful, actually. I won't say it. It's very shameful. It's a disaster. So when I see such things, and you look at the root cause of such structural injustices, it's basically literacy rate. The literacy rate is so pathetic. So before I go home, I tell my people, let's go to school. I started with myself. Let me first of all go to school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just to focus our ujinga, so that you build your intellectual capacity. Last but not least, oh yes, dear lady. What inspired you to go to the university?
Having that degree was very okay.
Just the paper. Perfect. Yes. So, at least me, it was the pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and I thought those people look nice. And during those days, when the word comrade first came into being, we used to hear of people like Adungosi. How many of you ever heard about Adungosi? Wow. Then later came people like Wafula Buke. Who ever heard of Wafula Buke? Wow. And then later days came the people like Okotho Bonyo. Who ever heard of Okotho Bonyo? Wow. And then later days came Karl Marx Owino. Who ever heard of Karl Marx? And then the yesteryears, I know there were the Babu Owinos, and who else is there today? Fidel Ongoya Jakababa. And Fidel Ongoya is in the room. Can you give him a round of applause? You see, why I'm going through that is because during our days, we used to get inspiration from fellow comrades. And before we joined university, we were prayed to, had the privilege of going through NYS. I know you've read about NYS. We used to go there so that you are trained on a few things, some little discipline here and there. And we would get inspirational talks from people who had seen life. I got my inspirational talk from Professor Rian. He was at the Treasury, former Chief Justice Chunga, and then there was all manner of people. I'm not sure if you students of today get inspirational talks at Taifa Hall or any other place. Do those talks still take place? Oh, yeah. That's a big gap. And this is why we are presenting this forum, so that we can have talks that are enriching. Like Ahmed from Lafe Mandera said, at the university, you are there to enlarge your intellectual capacity. And I'm happy to be here today talking to people who have enlarged who are in the process of enlarging their intellectual capacity, people who are developing critical thinking, and people who are developing their character that can shape this country. So you really have a tough job ahead of you. But of course, like my gracious lady there says, she's there to get something good at the end of it. And that lady also said, so that she can hold her certificate. Yes. So we are all there for different reasons. We are inspired differently. And this is our country. We need to contribute in the governance of our country. And we contribute in the governance of our country because governance is big. If only we know where to put our hands on or our minds on. Because everybody is preoccupied by their own personal problems. So you will let things pass you, and then you complain afterwards because you are preoccupied with your personal problems. But if you know where you can plug in, then you can plug in time, so that a stitch in time saves 9. And that is why I'm here to talk with you about an aspect of governance called the budgeting process in Kenya. Because budget is a governance instrument. How do we end up with a budget that is running our country? And the process is long, but I will summarize it in the simplest way I can put it, by just giving you the steps so that you can find out where you can plug in. Kenya is running on something called Vision 2030. Vision 2030 is a vision that captures where Kenya needs to be in the year 2030. But it was crafted in the first administration of President Kibaki. And it was launched in 2008. So it has been guiding the Kenyan governance space for the past few years. We have tried to follow it. Sometimes we go off the rail, but we keep on track because it is our development compass. So what is Vision 2030? Vision 2030 has three pillars: the political pillar, the economic pillar, and the social pillar. So I know you are familiar with what comprises the political pillar, the economic pillar, and the social pillar. But then, that is the anchor document upon which we develop our budget as a country. So, Vision 2030 is a vision. When you are developing a budget, you develop a budget that is called a long-term budget and a medium-term budget. And then you have the annual budget. So the vision gives you where you want to go, and the budgeting process breaks it into long-term and short-term. In budgeting, long-term is about 10 years. Short-term is 5 years, and annual is 1 year. So what happens is that once you prepare your vision, and I'm glad and I hope that His Excellency the President, I believe, has embarked on reviewing the vision for the country, because Vision 2030 is expiring in the next 4 years. So we are looking forward to a new vision. But as we still operate under Vision 2030, we elect our presidents after every 5 years, but with a maximum of 2 terms. I'm not talking about 2 terms, I'm talking about the budgeting process. So, because the president knows he can be there for 2 terms, so the president will always develop a manifesto that makes him actualize part of the Vision 2030 in 10 years. So that vision, that manifesto of the president, normally should be timed to last 10 years. And then that manifesto now is converted into long-term and short-term, long-term, medium-term, and short-term programs. And these programs are developed into budgets. So what happens is that every financial year, the whole government system is inducted into familiarizing themselves with the presidential manifesto, because presidents are elected to implement a manifesto. That is why today President Ruto is asking his competitors, na nyinyi, wapi plan yenyu, wapi agenda yenyu, wapi vision yenyu? And I think that's a fair question to ask, because you don't seek to be president, yet you have nothing to do with the presidency if you are given. So the president has a plan for 10 years. So that plan is broken down into implementable programs that are undertaken every year. So what happens is that Every financial year, and financial year in Kenya runs from 1st July to 30th June of the following year. Right now, we are in a financial year called 2025-2026, which began in the 1st of July last year and is ending on 30th of July this year. So how does the budget process move? Every financial year, that's a good one so that everybody can settle. Every financial year, on the month of August, and this is very critical so that we don't wait for June 30th to start going into the streets that where did this finance bill come from? In fact, I'm addressing that issue so that you know where you can plug in before the finance bill comes in. On the 30th of September of August, the minister or the CS in charge of Treasury, John Martin for that matter, will cause there to be a Treasury circular called the Treasury Budget Guideline. What is that Treasury circular? It is a statement that says we have in a new financial year and we are going to prepare a new budget and these are the guidelines. So if you want to follow the budget of this country, then you must familiarize yourself with the Treasury Budget Circular. Number 2, on the 30th of September, CS John Mbadi and his Treasury staff will cause there to be generated something called the Budget Review and Outlook Paper. What Budget Review and Outlook Paper means is in that statement, they will be looking at the past financial year, how the budget has performed. And on the subsequent pages of that document, they will be addressing themselves to how the economy is looking like going forward. So that is called the Budget Review and Outlook Paper. The Treasury prepares it, takes it to the cabinet, it is approved. And those are public documents that everybody needs to familiarize themselves with. More so, a university student who is intellectually empowered, who is capable of critical thinking, and who is keen in developing himself into a great player in the governance of this country. Number 3, after the Budget Review and Outlook Paper, which is released on the September. Then what follows in February, by end of February, Treasury causes there to be published what is called the Budget Policy Statement. And what is a budget policy statement? A budget policy statement is a government summary of the programs that the government tends to prioritize in the coming financial year. And along with that, how the government intends to raise the money to finance those programs. So on the 28th of February, there is laid before Parliament something called Budget Policy Statement. Why Parliament? Because that is where the people's representatives are. When that paper is laid there, it becomes public and anybody is free to have a look at it. Especially if you are intellectually empowered and you are critically thinking and you have the character to make Kenya great again. So that will give you the budget policy statement. What follows now, by 30th of April, is called the budget estimate. And for those who have ever had time to familiarize themselves with the budget estimate comes in a very thick book. It is hundreds, if not thousands of pages. So that is where now you see those programs that were contained in the budget policy statement broken down into implementable programs and expenditure items. So from there, you are able to start seeing where your money is going to. And this is very important. And every budget has two sides. For those who are familiar with finance, a budget has the expenditure side and the revenue side. So that budget statement contains the two sides. And it is laid in Parliament by 30th of April. After that, I need to say something. The reason why we have governments world over is so that governments can deliver services to its people. And services that governments deliver are those services that cannot be delivered by the free market. Just hold on with the water. Just hold on with the water. Just hold on with the water. Just hold on with the water, my dear. And so the government exists to provide services to the citizens. Those services are summarized in what is called the budget estimate. And that budget estimate contains the revenue side and the expenditure side. But going forward, we now split it into two because budget has to be approved. Parliament needs to give a law that puts into effect the budget proposals so that they are implementable. So you split them by dividing them into two. One is the expenditure side and one is the revenue side. Because government exists to provide services, we first of all deal with the expenditure side. What are the services that we want to provide to Kenyans going to cost us? That is normally summarized into a bill called the Appropriations Bill. That is where the capitation to schools are, the help to university students are, the health allocation, the road, the airport, all manner of things. They are all contained in the Appropriations Bill. And if you are not familiar with the Appropriation Bill, then you will have a problem with the Finance Bill. So that is why, if you want to interrogate the budget, then you start by interrogating the Appropriations Bill. Because it is what summarizes what Kenyans want done to them. And that is done, what Kenyans want done to them is done through the planning, through the manifesto, and then broken down into what is implementable in a financial year. And some of these things come from the public. Like when the president is in Kitui, the local leaders in Kitui will tell the president, Your Excellency, na utupatie hii barabara, utupatie hospitali hapa, na utupatie dam hapa, na hata airport, hata stadium pia utupatie. When those engagements are going on, they are called public participation, among others. There is always a secretariat behind the president taking notes. And when you are working with the president, you are always advised to read the commander-in-chief's lips. So when you see the president looking behind, you know he wants that thing noted. So you take note. And those form the expenditure requirements of the country. Now, that appropriations bill, the appropriations bill is the bill that putting into law the expenditure areas of a country. That law that authorizes expenditure of a country is called the appropriations bill. And here is the logic. Once you approve the expenditure, once members of parliament approve the expenditure law, it behoves that same parliament to approve where that money to be spent to deliver those services is going to come from. And that law that approves where the money to finance the budget is going to come from is called the finance bill. So the finance bill is a consequential bill to the appropriations bill. So it becomes hard to fault the finance bill while you approve the appropriations bill, because you said these are the services we want, those services must be financed. And government finances its services through two means. Number one, taxation. Number two, borrowing. And that's how we end up with a budget. So next time you want to question your budget, question them following the processes. And all these things normally take place by public engagement. The only problem is that the public engagement is not public enough. When you go to Treasury, there is always a circular calling for public input. So it takes your interest to see them. With those few remarks, I'm sorry to have gone technical, but that's what it takes. Comrades, power. Thank you very much. Now you can proceed.
Thank you so much.